think in all honesty, there are some examples where I'm not sure necessarily that there's one thing to say this was exceptional, but because I think we always try and do our very best. But when the family has said to us, you know, what you did made such a difference. He was approaching end of life. We'd called the family in. There was his wife and his 2 daughters. And one of the daughters came out and said to me, you know, I think he's gone. So I went in and he hadn't quite. So I stood there for a while and then I say the advanced nursing assistant came in as well. And he opened his eyes and he smiled at his wife, and we all just went, well, so we all, I mean myself, I didn't ask the family, but we, myself and the ANA, we just felt like we went sort of cold, but it was like a real peaceful sort of cold, if you like. And he did pass away then quite soon after, and his wife said to us, you know, she said that meant so much to her that she was able to be there, and he smiled. And the lady herself had early onset dementia, and part of it could have been a question of, did she really sort of see all the things that she thought, or was it what she wanted? But the daughter said no, that's what he did, and we saw it as well. And she said, you know, that has just made everything so much easier to deal with. It was dignified, and she was given the opportunity to actually be with him. Now, on the other end, that was long before COVID. I suppose if I go to now how things are with since COVID's been, it has been extremely difficult, because we have tried to maintain that level of support for the family, recognising, you know, that this is some of the last times they'll see their loved ones. We've had to have visiting restrictions, which we'd never had before. We've had to make decisions on who could come in, and that has been extremely difficult. And I know it has been for everywhere, you know, the hospitals, it's been very difficult, and care homes. But in a way, you know, people have a perception of the hospice that somehow those things won't happen. You know, everything will just carry on as it did. And when we've had to try and explain to people that, unfortunately, you know, we have to do this because we have to keep everybody safe, but also as well, it's our only way of being able to make sure we can actually still have visitors by restricting sort of who we're allowing in, and that's really taken its toll. It really has been extremely difficult, and it's sort of gone against, if you like, what we believe that we are here for as the hospice. To ensure that a person has, what's termed a good death. In terms of that, you know, no death is good, if in the sense that, you know, the person is losing somebody, but it's about really making sure that at the end that the patient is as comfortable as possible, that they are treated with dignity, that the family are included, the family have all of their concerns and emotions addressed as much as we possibly can, and about really making sure that the families know that the hospice is about everybody. We've had a lot of younger patients recently, and that has brought its own little challenges whereby they've often got younger children. So I think for us as well, it's about being mindful of who are the other people within the hospice who can help support us with that. And we had an example very recently, where, you know, our complementary therapists, they supported not only the patient but the family and the children. We had the children's unit staff came and actually took the children away from the room, played with them, kept them occupied, which then enabled the family who were in the room to really just concentrate on being able to be with their loved one, at the end. I think one of the big things for me, and I recognise this now because I worked in the NHS for many years, and when I came here, I thought I knew what palliative and end-of-life care was. I thought I knew what a hospice was about. I very quickly recognised that I didn't, and I think that is still the same situation now, because when people talk to us, when we've talked to members of staff at the hospital, for example, and they will say, oh yeah, well, if you can do that when they get to you at the care home, and we're not a care home, and it's sort of similar, well, no, it isn't actually. We do quite specialist things in our own right. Equally, we will have situations where the perception is that we have people who come to us, we put them in a bed, and that's it, and there they lay until they die. Trying to explain to other members of the nursing team, in areas that are unfamiliar, that actually no. Somebody who comes for end of life can often be more challenging than somebody who comes for symptom management. Because with symptom management, you know what you're dealing with. With end of life, you've got a very short window where you have got to build up a rapport with the patient if they are conscious, but with the family especially. We've had some who have only been here a few hours, and actually trying to address that. But without exception, we always sort of say, I'm really sorry that, we didn't get them here sooner. And they will just say, it doesn't matter to us. They were here, even though it was only for a few hours. And that means a lot because, like I say, these are people that we've never seen before. They're putting their trust in us to care for their loved one at the very end. So I do think that there isn't a lot of recognition of the challenges that come with actually trying to care for somebody who is dying. If they can't communicate, it doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have the best care. And for us to do that, we need to know about that person. She said she didn't understand why I needed that information because they were coming to us to die. And I said, well, yes, but we still want to know that we are providing them with the care that they need. Have they got pain? What symptoms have they got? Are they unconscious? If they are, that doesn't mean that they can't recognise sort of things. And it still went on like this, and in the end I just said, look, I said, if I was transferring somebody to you, you would want a transfer record from me about that patient. And she said, well, yes, and I said, well, that's all I'm asking from you. I don't want anything more. And it was very frustrating. And, I wanted to sort of say, but you can't. Have you got any idea, as to what it's like for these people when they come to us and their families? And we're trying to then run around finding out as much as we can just so that we can give the comfort that we need. Because families have expectations. They know their loved one. And if we do something that is completely alien to them, it's like we've had patients where somebody will say, oh, my mum never had her hair combed like that. She likes it in a certain way. That can be distressing if the last thing they see is their mother lying there with their hair in a way that they know they would never have wanted it to be. And it might seem ridiculous to some people, but it isn't. It's their last memory and we need to make that as good as we can.